What fictional character do you absolutely hate? Gabe Ugliano from Percy Jackson. Guy's abusive. Got everything he deserved. Caleb from King of the Hill, dusty old bones. Full of green dust. There was a show on Nickelodeon called As Told by Ginger. The main character, Ginger. Her best friend was named Dodie. Well, let me tell ya. Dodie. All she wants is to be popular and has backstabbed Ginger. Now the rich girl in the show, Courtney, was in her own way but throughout the series became friends with Ginger. She treated her better than her original friend Dodie. Courtney always had Ginger's back. The funny thing is that my favorite character in the show was Miranda, who was the biggest ever. But she made it up with her bitchy hilarious attitude. Maven Blackbriar from Skyrim. Little is corrupt and her mead tastes like Falmer. Bob Ewell from To Kill a Mockingbird. Easily the most despisable villain of all time. Kai Wynn from Deep Space Nine. She was the worst. Lotso from Toy Story is the bane of my existence. Fuck you Lotso. The circus ringmaster from Atla. When Appa was kidnapped. And everyone else who was involved in that trade. Honestly, I think that Mr. Krabs in some of the later seasons was one of the most pretentious, selfish and borderline psychopathic fictional characters. How he tormented Plankton and abused SpongeBob's ignorance really infuriated me. Like he started off as your typical cheapskate boss but he became such a dickhead later and his character really me off. His cheap side was exaggerated and he became a character that forced Plankton into hiding at some point, can't remember the episode name. But what me off the most is the fact that he always got away with it. That cowardly, Weasley, rat-faced looking, little Percy Wetmore from the Green Mile. That little Cyrus. That is in the head. Muffy from Arthur. Yeah, her character is supposed to be the snobby rich girl. But she goes far beyond being just that. She is rude to all of her friends and doesn't even try to acclimate to her school environment. The only time she does is when an episode doesn't feature her and she becomes a voice of reason for someone else facing a conflict. And she isn't good at that at all. One time when Francine's family hosted her, she was the worst guest ever. Complaining about everything when they were doing the best they can to make her feel welcome. Then when Francine is annoyed by it, as anyone would be, Muffy is the who plays the victim. Another example is when she scheduled her birthday party the same day as Arthur. Even though it wasn't her actual birthday. And Arthur had people from out of town coming in. She's just a sociopath that never feels empathy for anyone and her character isn't a good example for children. She has no redeeming values at all. Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A cold, heartless tyrant rather than the caregiver a nurse is expected to be. She's the personification of the dehumanizing effect of living under authoritarian rule. Abigail Williams. Read The Crucible in high school and I still hate that. Vogler from House MD. He just used his economic power to gain social power in the form of being a board member of the hospital and didn't actually care about patients. Vernon Dursley from Harry Potter. That guy. The governor in the Walking Dead comics. I was physically angry reading those comics. The mother figure in Tangled. Gothel. She reminds me of the worst traits of my ex-wife. The passive-aggressive comments and put-downs. With an "I'm just kidding" excuse behind it all. The manipulation and guilt trips. And elitism. I love a good villain. But this one hits too close to home for me. When you've seen that kind of attitude in real life, it is sickening to see being portrayed on TV. Dr. Mann from Interstellar. He was such a coward. Nazim. I've been to the Cloud District, Nazim. Never saw you there. That old prick in The Last Airbender that turned in the Earthbender that saved his life and got him sent to prison. He was a piece of. I was gonna say that Ramsay Bolton would be among the most hated Game of Thrones character. But now I think Joffrey Baratheon would be the absolute worst as a character. General Pong Krell. Traitor scum. The duck from the Duck Song. For some reason Reddit loves him but all he did was give that poor lemonade vendor a hard time. Like. He's a grown man selling lemonade. His life is already hard enough so there's no need to be a. Commodus from Gladiator. I hate this guy. He's absolutely the worst, cheating. Abusive, untrustable, lying poss of a traitor. This character is so well written and acted that to this day, I still resent viewing the actor even in other roles. The Charmin Bears. I don't want to hear a kid sing about his $1. Mr. Ezra Fitz from Pretty Little Liars. The whole teacher-high school student romance was gross and creepy. But the show framed it as this forbidden romance. The spoilt girl from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That little prick. Robert the Bruce's father in Braveheart. Enough said. I honestly can't stand Janice from Mean Girls. At first I was cool with her, but then I watched it high and she's one of the biggest assholes in the movie. She's basically as bad as Regina. Think about it this way. If Regina is a snake and is a person, then what kind of person would be best friends with her? Janice sat back and called them the entire movie, but it said she was the one who came up with the choreography for the Jingle Bell Rock dance. What annoys me the most is near the end when she just exposes all the her and Katie did, but in a way like it was righteous or something. And then gets all these cheers and like it was the right thing to do. Katie was right at the party. You're the one who made me like this so you could use me for your 8th grade revenge. That's literally what Janice did, and then wanted to sit back and act all smug and innocent when it blew back into her face. Micah Bell. That backstabbing. Manipulative. Also. Mindy from Snowpoint City. In the Sinnoh Pokémon games. She trades you a Haunter, but it's holding an Everstone so you don't get Gengar. Mindy. And everyone who looks like Mindy. Mindy sucks. Carrie Bradshaw. I remember that one time her husband just wanted to chill out and she made a big stink about going to some event. She's the epitome of a me person. I don't exactly hate her. Just a very general disliking. Lori Grimes. Carly from The Inbetweeners. She led poor Simon on for like a decade. Charles Minor from The Office. I cannot stand him. Not so much a single character as a trope. The super intelligent person who's always 5 steps ahead and never makes any mistakes. Strangely enough, I'm reading the complete Sherlock Holmes series right now and he doesn't bother me as much as he does up on occasion. Leonard from The Umbrella Academy. I could see right through him from the start and I never saw what Vanya saw in him. I'm not going to spoil what happens to him. But I am just happy that he got his comeuppance. Manny from Modern Family. His suave act was irritating when he was a kid, but he had some funny moments. As an adult it was just unbearable. Piper Chapman. The most unlikable main character in any series. Ever. I'm so glad there were more story arcs besides hers. Ra's al Ghul. On the face of it, the guy is a pretty compelling villain. He does what he does for the good of mankind. Even if it means doing the unspeakable. Unfortunately, he absolutely needs to be the center of attention in everything he does. Other popular Batman villains like Joker or the Penguin can show up to cause chaos for a few scenes and then leave. They don't need to be a central part of the story. But with Ra's, even the slightest mention of him means that the climax will have him show up and do the whole, yes. It was I. My machinations lay undetected blah 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 blah. It's predictable and always ruins a good adventure for me. This may be controversial for some Heathers fans, but JD from the movie Heathers. I think he's so annoying. I don't know how Veronica fell for him, honestly. Like, how can you choose him over Mr. Mosby? Oh, and I would also like to add Jeremy here to this list because he was a straight up. Like, he ditched his best friend like it was nothing, and when Michael was having a panic attack in the bathroom he was nowhere to be found. So much for two-player game. I wish he had a words fail moment where he genuinely apologized to Michael. Also, he didn't deserve to end up with Christine cause she deserves way better than him. Edit. Thank you so much for the award. Ah, red heart, red heart, red heart, red heart, red heart. I hate Stuart Little. Let's see who survives my attempted vehicular manslaughter. Me in a Ford F-150 or Stuart in his little RC car. Rory Gilmore in Gilmore Girls. There aren't words to describe how much I absolutely hate her. And what makes it worse is that everyone loves her. Most people start hating her after season 4. But there are still people who adore her. I had to take a break from the show because I couldn't stand her at all. I mean, even in the beginning she was obnoxious. But her whole town seems obsessed with her and says she's not like other girls because she reads books and doesn't wear makeup. She's entitled and a brat. She said that she didn't like that Dean was together with Lindsay after a month or two after they broke up. And said that she wanted him to be sad for a little longer when she literally got together with Jess the night they broke up. She has no problem with sleeping with married men and even cheating on her own boyfriends. But God forbid someone cheats on her. When she slept with Dean when he was married to Lindsay. She justified it with he was my boyfriend first. She's been told all her life that she's perfect. Then one person says she won't make it as a journalist and she drops out of Yale. She then goes on to do more stupid stuff. Expects everyone to be okay with it because whatever. And let's not forget that time she showed up to a job interview totally unprepared because she just assumed she would get the job. And this wasn't when she was 16. She was 32 years old. Rory Gilmore was the worst. She was ungrateful. She was entitled. She was a biatch, and I am so glad that she's not a real person.